Thank you.
Is it fair to say that your intervention today was fueled by the announcement by the minister yesterday, or there was already a plan on your calendar to call a press conference and announce this strike today?
It's a combination of issues. Of course, there are things we have been considering. Of course, the announcement by the minister then precipitated this press conference. But I can assure you that in the beginning of the week, we had already planned organized labor meeting for today. Given all the things we have learned about the transaction, and then the information last night then also got factored into our calculation, based on which we decided to do the press conference.
I see. Now, talk to us about what level of engagements there have been. And let me just announce to my listeners that there's a new decision which I would ask you to comment on. Which decision is that the hotel that wanted to buy these hotels has since withdrawn its bid, which means that at least the hotels will not go to Rock City unless SSNIT continues to open a fresh bid, and then maybe some other hotels or other organizations would come in. But for now, let's deal with the issues as of, say, 12 o'clock this afternoon when you were doing the press conference. Your decision is that what? SSNIT should not, sell these hotels, even though SSNIT holds a view that that's the only way out?
Yes, that's our decision. And we clearly communicate that in the statement, that we do not think that the transaction as currently spells out is in the best interest of Ghanaian workers. And the message is as simple as that. Our analysis, all the things we have learned about this deal, leads us to conclude that it's a flawed deal and it's not in the interest of Ghanaian workers.
SSNIT has told us that it has done a lot of consultations since 2018, has gone through an organization that was supposed to engage in this particular deal. Your members were in the know of this, weren't you? How come organized labor is only rising up now that the deal has almost been signed?
That question has been answered many times. In May 2024, during the May Day address, the Secretary General specifically asked the President for a meeting on SSNIT. And these were some of the issues we were going to discuss. And then, before we got that opportunity to meet with the President, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa broke the news. But we had gotten knowledge of what was going on, and we thought that given the sensitive nature of the financial investments and everything, we thought that let's have an audience with the President and raise our concern.
So the President did
whatever be the case, this is where we are today. Today, this country and workers have come to realize that SSNIT intends to sell 60% of its shares in the 4 hotels. And after we have analyzed everything, the financial terms and all other terms, we, the working people of Ghana, have come to a firm conclusion that the deal is a bad one and it is not in the interest of Ghanaian workers, whose money SSNIT is supposed to invest and do so wisely, so that when we retire, we can have what we call retirement income security.
Are you not simply being nationalistic without considering the business side of things? SSNIT says to you that these hotels are not viable. The best way out is to offload the shares. You are saying no, stick to the hotels. You mean you are forcing SSNIT to keep a bad investment, and what that means is that you would end up losing the entire investment. Is that what you want? Have you given an alternative plan?
So the question about being nationalistic, I want to assure you that there's nothing wrong with being nationalistic. And when we say that the deal is a bad deal, and I should not go ahead and you describe us that one as nationalistic, we are okay with that. We are nationalistic. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, SSNIT has been so eloquent that the hotels are not doing well. We should first investigate what they are not doing well. There are many things people know about. I mean, does it make sense to you that somebody operates a small hotel somewhere in Cape Coast, in Takoradi, in Accra, makes profit, But La Palm Royal Beach of all hotels is not making profit. Doesn't make sense to you. Something doesn't add up. And in our Ghanaian parlance of diversity and all that, we know attempts in the past and probably also today to mismanage state entities in preparation for takeover by other interest groups. So we should get to the root of why these hotels are not doing well before we can even talk about the need to divest them, to sell them to private interests.
Is it not the case that this is Aban Juma, which is usually the refrain, is state property, and so the workers' attitude may be wrong, even management attitude may be wrong. So the idea is that bring in a private investor, a no-nonsense man who can run this, and that's why the divestiture is actually being considered. And indeed, it is not as if SSNIT is selling the hotel entirely. It's selling off 60%. What SSNIT will simply do is relax, cross his legs, and be benefiting from the 40%. Is that not a more practical business model, you think? You don't think so?
Now, if this argument about Abaya Juma and people don't work and all that, if those arguments should hold, would you consider that, given all the problems you know about SSNIT, we should rather give all the 11% of our contributions that go to SSNIT, probably give it to a private investor? They are more likely to manage it better than SSNIT manages those investments, those our contributions. These arguments are neither here nor there. In fact, if you stretch it further, you may think that we should privatize the entire country, because you can get private investors who will be better at being president and MPs than probably what we currently have. So those arguments should not come in at all. We should get to the root of why the SSNIT hotels are making losses when the Kempinskis and the other hotels you have in Accra are actually making profit. You should get to the root of it.
So find out why they are not doing well and deal with that. Don't go the route of selling. That is your position.
Exactly. It's part of our position. And you should know that there are many issues concerning SSNIT. The recent revelations from the ILO valuation report and all that have not been dealt with. And probably this is only the beginning of our beef with SSNIT. They should hold this one, and then we actually sit around the table to make sure that workers' contributions are properly managed, and that workers retiring are given what is due them.
At what point does Organised Labour meet with SSNIT to see how your businesses are being managed for you? Have you been having these meetings? Have you been given records of the performance of these hotels? There are other assets that SSNIT has. Perhaps have you been given a rundown of how all these assets are doing? And again, if SSNIT were selling these hotels to a different company than the one owned by the minister, would it have made any difference to you?
It would have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference. Our point is that the terms they give to the minister, if they had given it to any other person, it will be a bad deal. Of course, we still have a challenge with the fact that a minister of state is the one procuring these state assets. But in our statement, we actually did not even raise those issues for now. All that we're saying is that if you look at the fact that SSNIT is selling these hotels for $60 million, and in the terms of the agreement, they will put back another $40 million of that $60 million back into the hotel in the name of keepers, revamping the hotel. Then did we go or did we come? If the investors coming don't have money to revamp the hotel, why should SSNIT get $60 million and put $40 million of that back into the hotel in the attempt to revamp it? We have a problem with the valuation. We don't think that the hotels have been properly valued. We have a problem with the processes that they went through to give this hotel to Rock City. All of that, if it were to be given to any other person, those problems will not go away. Those problems will still be our problem. It is not just simply because it's been given to a minister of state.
Now you have forced, literally, this deal to be botched because the buyers have withdrawn interest, it means the hotels revert to SSNIT. If what SSNIT has said to us is anything we should go by, the hotels will remain and they will rot. There's going to be a bad investment on the books of SSNIT. Because of the public outcry, would Organised Labour perhaps write a memorandum to the management of SSNIT and say, specifically on these hotels, this is how we want you to deal with them? Or you are simply just going to say, the deal has been withdrawn, hallelujah, let's go back to work, let's SSNIT continue running it the way it was running it? What are you going to expect moving forward?
Before I answer that, you should remember that in our statement, we say that SSNIT should publicly announce that they have stopped all the processes toward the sale of this hotel. This hasn't happened. You should remember that.
But we have seen the withdrawal letter from Rock City, or that doesn't suffice for you?
So it doesn't suffice. Because you said that there are processes leading to the sale of the hotel. Rock City happens to be one of all those entities in that process. What they have put out is welcome, but we want SSNIT to publicly announce, that's at least what is stated in our demand, that they have halted all the processes leading to the sale of the hotels. Okay. And once we get that one, Organised Labour will regroup and see the way forward in terms of how we make sure that these hotels and other SSNIT investments are properly salvaged and accounted for, all in the interest of the Ghanaian worker when that worker retires.
Okay, just by way of information to you on the figures that you mentioned, so the $60 million is for SSNIT to part with its 60% shares. However, there's also a plan by Rock City to pay $90 million for capital expenditure. That's just by way of information to you, because you mentioned a figure earlier. I needed to just have that corrected here. Moving forward again.
But there's also a plan for SSNIT itself also put in, because it has 40% share.
Yes, so of course, so SSNIT will have to continue to recapitalize, shouldn't it? Because 40% is a huge percentage, and if SSNIT wants to see this company afloat, it has to continue to inject capital, except that it will not be as huge as it would have done if it had 100% stake. Is that not the idea? And that's a good idea.
I'm not sure about that, but you can go on.
Going on now, the withdrawal letter has come from Rock City. You were saying that you're waiting for SSNIT to publicly announce and formally announce. In the interim, explain to us what your intent with the strike is, and is the strike still holding?
Of course. The strike was announced at a press conference by Organised Labour leaders. If SSNIT does what the Organised Labour wants it to do, the Organised Labour will communicate accordingly. In the absence of that, the strike notice still holds.
The National Pensions Regulatory Authority did an audit into the planned sale and has since accepted that and given the green light. What do you make of the NPRA decision? Because that's what has led to your press conference today. But are you saying that NPRA did not do a thorough job?
Have you seen the NPRA audit report?
I have not, but NPRA issued a statement and asked SSNIT to suspend the deal until it finishes doing what it was doing, or the investigations it was doing. Yesterday, the minister said NPRA had given the approval, which presupposes that the deal had been given a clean bill of health.
Is the minister the spokesperson for NPRA?
The minister is the minister for pensions, isn't he?
The NPRA put out a statement. We expect the NPRA to put out another statement, categorically stating what the minister said. If they have put out a statement that, okay, you cannot go ahead, you should stop this. If they feel confident that they have finished with their audits and investigations, and they now are clear in their minds that they can clearly to go ahead and do the deal, we expect them to put it back on another yellow paper and circulate it to the rest of us. And then we'll have a bite at it.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're most welcome.
That is Dr. Kwabna Otu. He's the Director of Research and Policy at the Trades Union Congress, TUC.